In today's video, I'm going to be answering the top 10 questions that were asked to me about this Bioactive Leopard Gecko enclosure. The first question, that better not be sand, and I had all the sort of loose substrate haters coming at me going, ah! Well, let me explain. You obviously didn't watch the entire video because in that video I shown what this was and how it was made. I assume you mean this area just here. I mean, there is a bit just down here as well and stuff like that, but we'll get over to it in a minute. This isn't a loose substrate. Yes, it is sand. This was expanding foam carved out to the desired shape and then covered in plaster, so it's a solid surface. You can probably see some of the plaster poking through there and all that sort of stuff. That's all that is. It was then, just before it cured, we added the sand onto the top of it, so we have a solid surface. And the reason for doing it like that is I wanted that sandstone appearance, not just for aesthetically pleasing reasons, like I can see it and it looks pretty, but also for the ultraviolet light, the rays. The rays will get absorbed into that differently to what it would get absorbed into the slate. It would then deflect off the material in a different way to what it would the slate. So I wanted that different variety of UV wavelengths to be reflected in different ways, just like the animals would naturally see in the wild. But yes, there is some sand mixed in with the substrate around some of the plants. Again, now the reason we have got sand within the substrate layers in here is one, to allow for a bit of extra drainage through the substrate layers because we do have a loose substrate and it is layered. Layered being the bottom part is extremely compact, the next layer up is a little bit less compact and the top layer is compact. It is pushed down, but nowhere near as much as the bottom layer. Why? Why do we do it like that? Simply for the plant roots to sustain the weight of the plant with the animal actually crawling over them. Not just that, but that's naturally what it would be in the wild. If they do come across a loose substrate, it's going to be compact because they don't have a lot of rain in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Number two is to do with that hole just there. So if you didn't watch the original video, I'd highly recommend going back and watching the video. That's basically step by step how I built this entire enclosure. And just there is an inbuilt moist hide. That is accessible just here. The way that it works, the animal can go in there, then I can go into this latch just here. Boom, there's the moist hide. Absolutely perfect. What was the question regarding this? Wow, can you see the little gap just up there? Well, that little gap was an awful lot bigger. And can the animal escape out and into this little cubby hole? Yes, she did. It was a big mistake. So what I've done, I've lifted it up, got it a lot closer to the actual top just there. Perfectly fine, never had a problem since. Although all this does look a bit rough and ready, we have got another big modification coming for the outside of this enclosure. We're just waiting for the hardware stores to open so I can get the products to actually do this, and then you won't see all of this sort of gubbiness. But along the same sort of lines, we also got the question of, won't the humidity, the high humidity in the moist hide, damage the wood? No, the wood is all sealed. All the edges where the moisture could actually get in have been sealed solid. So there's no chance that the moisture is going to ruin that hide. Next, heating and lighting. What did I use to heat and light this enclosure? I don't know why people ask that because I did go into detail in that within the video. Again, a lot of people like to skip through videos. It is what it is. I've got the Mega Ray, there we go, the Mega Ray infrared heat projector. Some of you guys may sort of have seen this design around somewhere. Let me give you a little bit of inside information. Apparently, the other companies that produce these say, it's new technology, this is fascinating, everyone should get over to these. This is 20 years old, guys. This design, this technology is 20 years old and it's been available for that long. So don't listen to all the marketing scams you get off all the other companies. This is the original OG, the Mega Ray infrared heat projector. That projects an infrared wavelength of infrared A to infrared B, meaning the infrared wavelengths penetrate into your animal at a deeper level, warming the animal from the inside all the way to the out. It's not the only reason I used one of these. I've got a load of slates underneath the basking spot, among other materials as well, and they're all going to deflect the infrared rays that come off this in different ways. So it can come down off the bulb, dead fast and aggressive like this. It'll absorb into the slate surface and then it'll go off like that. So the animal has got a load of different wavelengths of infrared light inside that enclosure, again, just like they'd naturally see in the wild. The same goes for the UV lighting. The one I used was the Reptile Systems Eco T5 unit on Zone 1. Zone 1 is the Ferguson Zone 1. That basically means this animal sits on Ferguson Zone 1 on the Ferguson scale, so we provide them with a UV light that's going to reach Ferguson Zone 1. It's all the details are on the back of the box just here. At 30 centimetres away from the animal, which is what mine is set at, this is going to give your animal a UVI, an ultraviolet index of 1.8, which is exactly what a leopard gecko would naturally have in the wild. Again, the light's coming down, deflecting off all the surfaces that are in there and being absorbed into all those surfaces. So again, it's providing a natural environment for the leopard gecko that is in there. I had one person say, how does that make it bioactive? You've just made a naturalistic enclosure. This has got a clean-up crew inside it. It's got springtails. The springtail population, whether it thrives in this environment or not is a different story, but I have got an awful lot of colonies of springtails to keep rejuvenating that colony if I so need to. Now, the difference between this and what they'd naturally have in the wild, out in Afghanistan, Pakistan, is flies. They have a lot of flies that clean up all their poop and their feces and refertilise the substrate and all that sort of stuff. We can't provide that in these enclosures. One, it'd look nasty. Two, it'd sound funny. And three, we can't really get the native flies here in the UK. Springtails, great alternative, and they do the same job. What are the names of all the plants? You've got me here, guys. I haven't got a clue. We've got that one there. It's just a big succulent. Again, thriving. It's been through 2 water cycles so far. We've got a succulent at the back just there. We've got another one at the back just there. We've got one just there. And they're just little accent pieces to break up the boldness. And then we've got an awful lot of arid grass species, which again is what they naturally have in the scrublands of Afghanistan and Pakistan. How has she settled into this environment? Well, I don't really see her too much anymore. She knows where the moist hide is. She's been in there loads of times. She knows all around this side just here. This is the hot side. She doesn't like that hot side hide area that I did provide for her. She loves, there's a little hide underneath the middle of the enclosure at the back. The temperature there is absolutely perfect at 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and she just tends to hide out under there for the majority of the day. When it comes round to dusk time, the lights flick off, she does come out. She does have a little explore. She's still in that exploratory sort of stage. She has eaten. She's had a meal in there perfectly fine. It did take her a while to get used to having a meal because now she's fed out of a bowl and tongue fed, which is something a little different to what she's actually used to. So it's getting her used to the environment and the new feeding regime. But she seems to be settling in just well. She's been to the toilet. She's had a meal. She's doing great. We got one comment that said, what are the actual dimensions of the enclosure? So let's find out. So we know I'm not lying, because a lot of people didn't believe that this is actually a 4-foot enclosure. There's the tape measure. We're going to pull it out and basically, boosh, put it on. I'll put it in that little gap just there. There you go. 4-foot enclosure. Let's try it. The depth, it's on there. 18 inches deep. I think it might be the same height-wise. Nope. It's 21 inches high. So if you didn't know, here at Northern Exotics, we're actually trying to provide bigger, much more enriching enclosures for our animal. Keeping a reptile is not just about, oh, I've got this reptile. Provide their enclosure as well. Watch it grow over time. Watch how they interact with it over time. Watch their naturalistic behaviours come out inside a naturalistic piece of artwork enclosure just like this one. But on this channel, we don't just have amazing enclosure, not just one, no. We've got our Savannah Monitors enclosure just here, again, fully naturalistic with naturalistic materials. We've got our Carl Sunglow Boa Constrictors enclosure just here. Again, loads of branch work, loads of rock work. It's just absolutely amazing, and a random Buddha. We've got our Morning Gecko's Bioactive enclosure just there. We've got an awesome Rockworks Bearded Dragon enclosure. And quite frankly, we just love going naturalistic to the species that we do actually have. So if that is something that you're interested in seeing more of, because we are doing a lot more of these builds, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're down to the last 2 questions that were asked. Number 1, where am I from? I get a Sheffield kind of vibe. I am in the north, hence Northern Exotics. Check out the Fangtastic Tarantulas t-shirt. Check them out. The link will be in the description down below if you like your rare tarantulas. But I'm from the northwest of England in a little village called St Helens. I'm not going to tell anybody where exactly in St Helens I actually am, but I'm in St Helens. That's Merseyside for all of you southerners. On to the very last question. How much did this cost and how long did it actually take you? The video I put up was 15 seconds long. It was 300 hours to produce this. Now, that was solely because I've had to wait for the expanding foam to cure. Then I had to relayer some expanding foam and I had to wait for that to cure. Then I had to wait for the plaster to cure. Then I had to wait for the background plaster to cure. I had to just wait for an awful lot of stuff. But 300 hours has gone into this enclosure so far. It's not finished yet. We've still got quite a bit to do to it. So make sure you do hit that subscribe button. It's quite funny actually. I had someone over on TikTok say 300 hours. I build yachts for a living and I can build a full £1 million yacht hull in less than 100 hours. But how much did it cost? Well, to see that, you're going to have to make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell because that's our next video.